Midnight on Earth podcast with your host, Jake Weaver. Engineered by Cedric Swan. Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Midnight on Earth. I'm your host, Jake Weaver, and we are here to bring you more knowledge, more lights, and more love. And another fantastic human who's here to help, just like all of the great love-based beings. Gina Bria is here. And we're going to talk about the Hydration Foundation. We're going to talk about her book, QUENCH, Beat Fatigue, Drop Weight, and Heal Your Body Through the New Science of Optimum Nutrition, and so much more. But first, I need you to do something for me. Follow me on Instagram at midnight_on_earth. That is the address. You can follow me there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're going to get your podcast, click that button that connects us so you know exactly what's going on. And of course, word of mouth, tell a friend, tell someone that you know that needs really good information. We talk about a lot of different things, but we're really bringing you the best information. And you know who needs it? Bring them here. Bring that human here. midnightonearth.com. Okay, so we're almost ready to talk to Gina. I just need to read her bio. So here we go. Gina Bria is an anthropologist and founder of the Hydration Foundation, recognized as a leading resource for hydration science and education. Named a real-world scholar, she produced the first International Hydration Solutions Summit and the TEDx talk, How to Grow Water. It's not only blue, it's green. Bria is co-author of QUENCH, Your 5-Day Plan to Optimum Hydration with Dr. Dana Cohen, MD, now in 7 languages and recommended by many media sources. At the UN Conference on Water, she presented Emerging Water Science, and at COP28 Global Climate Conference, spoke on the role of water in soil for climate recovery. Her Rehydrate Our Thirsty Mother Earth project was selected for the Buckminster Fuller Design Science 10-Year Award to spread better water solutions. With her colleagues, she's at work on a traveling water museum called A Movement in Water, an immersive art and science exhibit to raise reverence and understanding of our most precious material and what all life is made from: water. Wow. What an intro. Gina, hello. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited, Jake. We're going to have a mind-blowing, exciting conversation. I already know it.
Well, there's good energy. I feel really good. It's actually sunny in Portland, Oregon. So you know it's going to be a good day. The magic's happening. Tell me about the Hydration Foundation. Tell me how you got interested in all of this.
Okay, it's a fun story. I am an anthropologist,
yes.
Right? A cultural anthropologist. My mother never approved. What are you doing? I was looking at why desert cultures, why desert people around the globe seem better hydrated than we are when they don't even have liquid available. Like, what the heck is that story? They need 8 glasses of water to survive, right? Everyone knows that, right? So in my quest to try to understand how these people could be so well hydrated, in fact, flourishing, I went to each desert region. Sometimes I had to do it through ethnographies that were literally, the spine was falling off the book. They were so old. They were recording pre-industrial societies. And I came across a commonality in all of those regions, which just astonished me, which is they were using water locked inside plants to hydrate.
Interesting. Yes, when I was checking out your website, I didn't realize just how much water fresh foods hold. It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. And it's actually a better form of water than liquid water, which we get out of our tap or through our lakes or through our rivers. The water locked inside of plants is a plasma form of water. That's a recently documented phase of water through the work of Dr. Gerald Pollack at the University of Washington. This plasma form of water that's inside of plants, and I want you to think of an aloe plant or a cactus plant, and then I want you to translate that right away to realizing that it is plasma liquid inside our human cells.
Right.
We are more plasma water than we are liquid water.
Oh, wow.
Pretty fascinating, right?
Well, I've just never really heard anyone break this down like this before.
Well, once I recognized that, one, the conversation on hydration desperately needed to include this plasma form of ingestion, especially among our elderly, because, Jake, I'll tell you a quick side story.
Sure.
While I'm reading these ethnographies that are literally crumbling in my hands, or I'm on the phone with field workers in the Bedouin region, for example, or I'm tracing Bushmen in South Africa, Gobi Desert, what was going on is I was fielding phone calls from the nursing home where my mother was saying, "I'm sorry, we had to hospitalize her due to chronic dehydration yet again." And I'm like, I can't live in this dissonance. Something has to happen, right? So I'll tell you what I did. I literally, based on the research that I was doing, sent the nursing home a package of chia seeds.
Okay.
And I asked them to simply mix in a tablespoon in my mother's morning orange juice. And that extended her hydration throughout the day, almost 2/3 more than trying to get all these people to drink. Because the plasma form, of course, is more buoyant, it's more absorptive, it stays longer, and it's crazy, but it's timed released. So you're getting drip irrigation through food.
Because that gelatinous material is breaking down in your system, and through that breakdown process, it releases water kind of over a time period?
Yes, much slower, much more absorptive, more buffering to all your tissues. It matches the cell membrane and the cell interior, so it just slides right in there. I mean, you need far less liquid to hydrate at a profound level. So I had to get that information into the world. So I founded the Hydration Foundation in 2016 to be an educational resource on how to better hydrate. And Jake, hydration is a very complex, fascinating topic, because not only are we made of water, we're far more made of water than we think if we recognize that every one of our cells is a water bag of jelly. I wanted to help people understand that all of Mother Nature is conspiring to hydrate us.
Yes.
And everything else. So there's other ways of hydrating besides just ingesting liquids and ingesting foods. And this was really important because people were not aware that if you take your shoes off and stand on the earth or grass or sand by the beach, you're pulling up electrons through the soles of your feet or your hands, and that is charging the water inside of you.
Whoa.
And it's creating I know, right? And also sunlight is doing the same thing. When those photons hit our skin, they send a signal into our entire body to organize the water molecules to effectively communicate more strategically, more cohesively, with less static.
I have heard the first part of that, where when you go out earthing, as some people call it, you do absorb electrons. I did not know the water aspect. And from your experience, do you feel like there's a certain amount of time out earthing or something like that,
yes.
that will fully recharge your cells?
Yeah, I can't say fully, but I can say at least if you hit the ground walk around for 15, 20 minutes, you have, and I'm going to put this in a very strict, simple, straight up way, you've increased your voltage.
Wow.
Like, this is what we need to be doing. And the reason you're able to increase your voltage is because you're made of this plasma, and the plasma conducts the voltage, right? And if our water inside of us is chaotic or disorganized, for example, if you drink tap water that's been treated with so many chemicals, it's been washed, it's been put into out of its molecular spin, your body has to recover all that water and turn it back into the plasma state. So we're losing voltage by the way we're told to hydrate right now.
Oh my God. So this makes sense. So this is how all of these humans that are living in arid climates are still healthy. Their organ functions are still optimal and doing their job.
Right.
And so,
right.
but they don't have access to fresh water consistently.
Right. But if you add the electrons into the hydration property, now you're seeing that the sunlight has a huge impact. Grounding has a huge impact. And the third pillar of this is movement.
Okay.
Because every time you move, your muscles are creating electricity. And that electricity goes to the water, and the water then uses that electricity to send signals to organize all the other cells. So nobody was saying that hydration comes from movement.
Wow.
And, or saying it comes from food, or saying it comes from grounding, or saying it comes from exposure to sunlight. Or, for example, we had all the great results from red light therapy. The infrared aspects of saunas or any of these red light modalities are incredibly important for helping us hack our health in a very deeply compromised biology environment we now live in.
This is huge information.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. Thank you for helping me get this message to people, right?
Yes, we need to get this out there. I'm just kind of stunned, I guess is the right word, that I've never really heard anyone break this down before. Now, I'm very familiar with the importance of energetically correct water. And then you think about the work of Emoto and the water crystals. There's a lot of information out there about the spiritual and the metaphysical aspects of water and how it enriches you, but I have not ever seen anything about this. And to me, this is probably the most important thing out of all of it.
Well, I believe Dr. Emoto's work was a pioneering work which opened up entire fields of scientific exploration. And I will point you to the work of John Stewart Reed, an acoustic physicist who's now doing videos of patterns on water, not frozen crystals, but actual videos.
Oh, wow.
And he uses sound and music to show the patterns that occur, all of that only because of the amazing properties of water and the water molecules being the most sensitive membrane for revealing patterns. And you know what? He's not doing anything different than we do when we stand in a puddle and watch the rings move out from our feet.
Wow. This is just really mind-blowing. So what is the first step to replasmifying our water ingestion? So we are utilizing the correct water and getting that in our body.
Well, I think sunlight exposure is going to be the very first place to start, which is where, human and amniotic fluid starts, right? Life on Earth starts with this relationship between the electromagnetic and atomic forces of sunlight hitting materials on our planet that involve minerals and rocks and dirt and soil. And once that alignment starts, evolution begins. The evolution of cells begin. So we too are deeply in need of exposure to voltage, literally, We need to plug into the sun. We need to plug into sunlight. And unfortunately, as I view our culture, the culture we live in now, we spend a vast amount of time indoors.
I agree. It's terrible.
Right. I mean, we're either commuting in our cars, or we're in our office cubicles, or we're at home making dinner, overseeing homework. And this is a really severe severing of the natural light waves coming through a day that would signal our cells how to be healthy and whole, what to do next, how to be, and be charging us constantly throughout the day. So when we come indoors, we're literally severed from a vast amount of biological support. So no wonder we're creeping along, right? Sunlight, getting out is so important.
I've always felt that intuitively. Like there's some deeply spiritual connection to the sun. There's recent news saying the sun may be conscious, literally being a living being. That's quite possible.
Yes.
But humans need that. It's not just about the biology, which is what you're saying is such a huge, important part. There's some kind of spiritual information, some kind of meta information coming from sunlight, I believe. And when we're inside, like you're saying, we're just completely cut off. And not only that, we're in artificial lighting, which is damaging us.
So I would recommend for our friends listening that if you can supplement your light intake with red light therapy. It's a hack that's really useful right now, but it's still a limited range of information compared to just standing outside.
I know. And it's mind-blowing because that's our star as humans. That's the star that's giving us life. It's so special and so precious. And you see what I believe to be, and this is a different conversation, geoengineering. And they're always putting these chemtrails in front of the sun, always blocking out the sun. There's something special about that. That's part of hydration, you're saying. And what else can people do? So they get the sun.
Yeah.
They're connecting with that. Hopefully they live in a place like Florida where it's abundant, or Southern California, or South America. There's so many great places. But what else can they do? Let's say they're in a place where there is no sunshine, or they're really bound to being in structures. What can they do then?
Well, I think this is a good time to just mention vitamin D3 supplementation.
Yes.
We have to have that hack in the world we live in now, right? By the way, people were originally nomads. What were they doing? They were following the sun. They were following the animals that were following the sun, right? I mean, you know. Look,
if I had free reign to travel and follow animals, I'm telling you, 10 out of 10, I would be in the sunniest place. No offense to the snow people and my snow family out there, but you know, humans enjoy sun.
Yeah, you feel that blessing on you. You just release, right? It's an incredible, the minute you walk out, you're like, okay, I can let go now.
Right.
So hydration from sunlight, I really want to help people think, how do I hack that problem I have in our lives? And, you know, vitamin D is important. We know what it does in terms of, you know, all the health issues. And then I think we talked about grounding, also super important. Like your legs are literally, I want you to think about legs like the plugs that we plug into the wall. You know, your legs are the prongs that stand on the earth. Just think of yourself that way and go get some voltage, right? And then sunlight, grounding, and then movement. It turns out movement is a form of your electricity generator. And when we sit all day behind screens, of course, which are also electromagnetically compromising, when we sit all day and we come home and watch Netflix at night, we're literally powering down and we're losing charge. So I really want, so now we're in an energy deficit, and boy, does everybody feel that. We go to bed at night, every night feeling in an energy deficit. So simple things like when you're sitting at your computer all day, or you're on your cell phone, if you can just, one of my favorite movement hacks is just simply to drop your chin to your chest. Really simple. Just move your chin down so it's as close to your chest as you can get. When you do that, you're going to feel a stretch up the back of your neck. But what you've actually done is create an entire synovial flush down your spinal canal. So this simple act is now moving a great deal of fluid into your system. It's getting it back in motion, and it's starting to move and create energy. So it's, if you're in a car and you're driving, just twist your chin over your shoulder as much as you can. Look to your left, to the driver's there. Look to your right. Use your head as this extraordinary pump handle to begin pumping the fluids through your body. So movement. And then after I recommend that, I'm going to tell you, go out and dance as much as you can.
Well, I know that the plasma aspect of water is so huge. And yet, as you're saying, most people are drinking tap water, filtered tap water, or just very industrialized water. A lot of people drink bottled water,
right.
With the BPA and all of that.
Oh my goodness.
Should we change how we consume water to integrate more fruits and things that contain that gelatinous kind of gel water?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. So getting as much water from your food as you can. And I'm talking now things like bone broth and it isn't just the fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
I know this is going to sound crazy, but meat and butter and ghee are powerful forms of making water inside of us. We are a water system. We're capable of making our own water and making more water inside of us. That's the kind of water we need. And that's because every cell is busy trying to duplicate itself and reproduce itself. And those are water cells. So we're in a context which if we could just reframe how we're living and thinking about what we actually are, Jake, that's going to be it's going to change our sense of how we're going to go ahead and live out the rest of our lifetime as a body.
Well, we need to nourish our body. That includes hydration. And people feel like they're getting the kidney filtration and different things, but truly it's not working at optimum efficiency, the water itself. Can you tell us about like the 3 phases of water and what the 4th phase is?
Yeah, Jake, before I do that, I just want to kind of roll back a little bit because I didn't really say some things I think are helpful to people, which are so simple. So I don't want you drinking a naked glass of water ever again. When you get tap water, if you have to, because you don't have any other options right now, put a little bit of sea salt in that, just a pinch. It's not going to ruin your sodium intake. I promise you, I've done all the math. You can put a big pinch if you want. You don't want the water salty. You just want to start an electromagnetic reaction between the water molecules in your glass of water and the salt. And those 2 features together, which of course is what we came out of in the ocean, right?
Yes.
Those 2 features together will help start changing the quality of the water you're drinking.
Okay.
And you can use salt, you can use lemon, a squeeze of lemon. These are classic traditions for healthy practices. Apple cider vinegar, just a capful. You can toss that in the water. What's happening is the water molecules are reading those ingredients and beginning to change how they're organized so that they can begin to do the work right before you even drink that glass.
Wow.
So that's a simple hack. Then again, starting to move into using foods to trust that your hydration is there and it's going to come from there. And I again, I do red light therapy every day, and I've just got a little device that I bought. I think it's made in Germany, and it's a ceramic plate that it has a little timer on it, and it's 15 minutes. And I don't get out of bed without turning on my red light and starting my morning practice. Let's call it practice because that's how people refer to things now. But the lack of stress in your life, when you are able to pull the plug on stress, not permanently, nobody gets out of this. But if you interrupt the production of stress chemicals, you go back to a blank slate. Stress chemicals have a huge impact on the water molecules inside of you. And this is maybe a reference to Dr. Emoto's work, where he was recognizing that how people thought or felt was somehow affecting the crystallization of the water. He couldn't really say why. We have more science behind that now. But I'm letting you know that if you can somehow start your day or somewhere in your morning, pull the plug on your stress. And that means something as simple as listening to a song the whole way through on Spotify. Just 2 minutes. Most songs are more than 2.5 minutes. And rest, release. Just listen to the song, then go back to whatever you're doing. You have wiped out the stress that was coming in to affect your hydration, and you get to start with a new slate.
So these are just simple things to start out with.
Yeah. So I'm just going to encapsulate that for people. So the science is actually, it allows me to say that a song is as hydrating as a glass of water.
Wow. Because you get away from that stress that's stripping the water. So you retain that and you absorb it better.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Aren't we having fun?
Why am I just hearing about this now? I'm just like trying to process all of this. This is so huge because this is, again, nothing that I've ever heard before. I don't hear people talking about this. I feel like this is very important. People that are health conscious. So many people are health conscious. They should be aware of this.
Well, we're talking about it in silos. And all I'm trying to do is like link it up for you through the flow of water through your system. So one aspect of water and hydration that we haven't talked about, we just touched on with the grounding, is that the point of water, one of its foundational jobs, is to conduct electricity. Everybody knows water conducts electricity.
Right.
But that's going on within your system. So the reason you're a water being is now that's where you're able to absorb and practice and manifest the life force, electricity.
So as your water internally is purified, it's charged, you're getting that gel water that's actually hydrating you, then you're more active. You have more cellular energy, and it actually activates you in other ways as well, right?
Yes, it's taking care of your health, and it's taking care of your mood. I mean, when people ask me, how do I know I'm dehydrated? I say, are you crabby? Are you irritable? We're done. The conversation's over. You're dehydrated.
You probably have a requirement that people need to drink a certain amount of water before they talk to you. Thankfully, I'm very hydrated at the moment.
I hope that I hope that all the methods that we're sharing allows people to find their way into these conversations. But I will just mention, in terms of brain studies, we know that a 2% loss of hydration leads to measurable cognitive dysfunction.
Oh,
that's how buoyant you should be as a water being. Your balloon should not be crumpling. It should not be, dehydrating. You should be fully, optimally hydrated, because then your cognition has reached in your brain, which of course is 80% water, shocking, and it's all in plasma form. I mean, it's a plasma organ when we think about it. What I'm very fascinated by as an anthropologist is what happens to our cognition when we get that 2% back and then above that.
What have you found?
Well, I just try to hang out with interesting people who are well hydrated.
But when people do utilize some of your techniques, I mean, I'm sure they report back to you. What do they tell you?
Yeah, it's, oh my God. And we use words like no brain fog, I'm clear, I'm more focused, but all those are productivity words, Jake. I'm trying to get above the productivity conversation and into the perception conversation. What if we were so well hydrated that our perception of what is around us begins to land?
Like we're more in tune with spirit,
Mhm.
with love, with the energy of what's really happening. Perhaps there's a
Mhm.
rise in
Mhm.
compassion, all of these things, because that's our
Mhm.
natural state. So being,
Mhm.
let's say, for this conversation, ultra hydrated in this way, then you're back to your optimum self, which is love. So you're like back to your true form.
Yeah, which are what babies are. They're so much more hydrated than we are. I mean, our life right now is a cruise from arriving as an egg, a beautiful baby that's so bouncy, poke it anywhere, right? To the think about our elders now in their wheelchairs, and they can't keep their spines up straight. They're hunched over. They're absolutely shriveled, and the ultimate death is complete dehydration.
I do notice that.
I'm trying to hold all that in a life cycle conversation about what it is to discover. What if we really paid attention to the fact that we're fish out of water, that we really are water beings?
Yes.
And we have multiple modalities to pull on that turns out to be all joyful, that would support us being a fully water being, especially in the conditions we find ourselves today.
Yes.
That's my real interest, Jay.
Wow, so huge. I mean, we are under an assault, the toxins in our environment, of course, the industrial water that essentially everyone, the community public water that everyone's drinking, full of chemicals. There's just so much we're being bombarded with, the pesticides in the food. There's just so much. And if we were truly hydrated, like you said, as water beings, because we did come out of the ocean as organisms, we were once completely immersed in water all the time for probably millions of years. Who knows?
And not to mention the 9 months in our mommy's tummy.
Of
I mean,
course, that's the
what is
reflection of that.
amniotic fluid?
Right.
Right.
It's that plasma. So that's the thing. So we're getting back to our true state, but it is hard. Like, how did this information leave us? If tribal cultures know this, is this just their intuition, or people living in arid areas? Is this just their intuition, or was this actual things that were taught?
Well, I think they were passing on their strategies for health and food and healing, and this is acquired information. It's evolved information, right? Let's put it that way. You stick somebody in a situation, and they figure out how to adapt to that environment. Now, as an anthropologist, I want to stay on the word adaptation, because this is our magic as a species. We are omni whatever. And our capacity to adapt is beyond imagining what those percentages are. It's huge. So here we are in a very compromised environment. How do we adapt? We can adapt here. And now, if you let me, I would like to pull the thread of that conversation through what the phases of water are.
Yes, please.
Yeah, right. Because we know there's vapor.
Yes.
We know there's liquid. We know there's ice. What we didn't know is that in between liquid and ice is this slowly gelling form of plasma. And that this state is that I want you to understand that each phase of water is an evolved phase, right? It's all adapting. And so each one of those phases, vapor, liquid, plasma, and ice, do different work. They adapted it's a division of labor. So if water's on a spectrum, it's moving all the time between all of these different phases to get different things taken care of.
Okay.
So vapor alone is how we breathe in water. Breathing turns out to be hugely hydrating. Our lungs are a massive system for bringing in vapor water and translating it into oxygen. Fabulous work. Thank you, vapor. Well, liquid has its own set of things. Liquid is more in the cleansing phase. It's a carrying out phase. It carries out crap. But Plasma is the most extraordinary thing because what plasma is capable of doing is self-purifying. Water can
Whoa.
purify itself, and it does that by reorganizing its molecules into states that just dismember anything that comes in. It just takes apart iron, it takes apart and makes it bioavailable. It takes apart glyphosate and reshapes how it is in the body, makes it inert. Let's say it's inert. There isn't anything that water is not capable of managing and adapting. And I'll give you two examples. I'll give you one example because it's all on top of everyone's mind. We're all in the microplastic hysteria.
Oh my
right
God.
now.
Yes, I know.
Everyone, oh my God, they have failed to notice that microplastics are a snapshot of what water is doing to plastic on the planet, which is basically dissolving it. So it's got it down to microplastics now. And it can continue to do that. Now we need time for that. And we need to stop the inflow if we're smart. But it's only an example of trying to show that water is the thing that is running everything, and it's fixing things, even things we've created that are problems.
It's a corrective force, you're saying.
It's a corrective force. It knows what it's doing. It knows how to clean itself up. It's been doing it for billions of years. And I just want to register for people that same process is going on inside of your own body.
Oh my God. Wow.
Right? We are a filter. We are a water filter. Now we want to support that with, supplements or infrared light or getting out and moving. I mean, we've got to figure out how to help our filter and our plasma generate that self-cleansing potential. But once we know that, we really start thinking about things differently. And just this release in ourselves, this letting go of the defensive clutch that we're all in, that we're just being assaulted by insults all the time. And we're never gonna be able to release.
That's so huge. So then, is water alive? Does it have a consciousness?
I can say that from the anthropology side. It's a little harder to say it from the science side. Unless we switch the conversation to consciousness being signaling, intelligent organizing signaling. When you move it to that kind of language, there's no question that water is sending, receiving signals all the time. It's organizing other molecules. It's making decisions about what amount of dissolving. It's the universal solvent, right? Like how much I need this, and I'm going to need three of these for five of those. It's the great conductor of the orchestration. It's the orchestra conductor of all of our cell signaling.
Oh my God.
How could that not be conscious, right?
Well, if there's data being moved and decisions being made, there's things being information being processed, and then that's consciousness.
Right. And so when I just take time to, one, get hydrated, have a nice glass of water, maybe a hot bath with Epsom salts or just good old, sea salt and a little baking soda. And I just sit and think. My new question, Jake, is what isn't alive? What isn't alive?
I think about this constantly. Animism. I do have that perception myself that when you put energy into something, when things are created, they have a form of function. There is some living energy. There's some form of consciousness. But when things are natural like this, I mean, water, my God, I mean, it's everything. And it's here. Of course it's alive. The earth's alive. Soil's alive. Plants are alive. Crystals are alive. Plastic?
Well, yeah.
What do you think about? Is plastic alive? It's possible in a strange way.
In a strange way, maybe it's not as lively as we'd like it to be, but I don't have to go that far, but there are a lot of records of things that we've formerly considered inanimate. For example, rocks. We don't think of rocks as alive because their time scale for growth is usually beyond our perception.
Right.
But if we take the time to actually look at the records we have, in fact, who's the curator at the Natural History Museum that just reorganized the entire gem room to reflect that this is all an evolution? The rocks are evolving.
I don't know off the top of my head, but that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. So some far more things are pulsing and alive than we let in. And again, if we hydrate ourselves as a perceptive instrument, let's phrase it that way. If we begin to tune our instrument to receive more signaling, now we can go to the conversation of the vast amount of indigenous information and conversation saying, oh yes, I go and I listen to my herbs sing to me, and they're telling me, use this for blood circulation. In other words, they're waiting to receive information from the plants and then use that in whatever way they can as a healing modality. But most indigenous cultures, and we use that term broadly, are extremely alert to receiving signaling information from other things that we've tuned out. Or we're not perceptive enough to hear.
And that signaling information shows up in all different places, in all different types of consciousness. They're just perceiving it because they're completely open. They see the divinity of the creator and everything.
Right. Even your ear canal, keyword there, is a fluid run system because the tiny hairs in your ears are fluid, liquid, hair gels moved around by the fluid in your ear. So once you start asking the question, like, well, what does water in the body do? There's nowhere you can stop, even your eye. So we're still on the perception conversation, right? Sure. Perceiving all the music that's there to hear. And visually, your eyes are a gel plasma, who knew, whose precision for seeing is tuned by the amount of gel that's in your eye.
Oh my God.
Everybody who's studied lens or optics knows that you have to get that curve in there. Your balloon has to be completely full in order for you to have vivid perceptions, So I'm just laying these out as two examples, your hearing and your eyes, as what can we do to chase higher perception right up until we die? How do we do that? And I'm just using hydration as a pathway for trying to accomplish that in my own life.
Wow. This is so huge. I'm sorry if I'm consistently blown away on this episode, but this is all really new information for me. And it's a new perspective on this, but yet it's the most truthful perspective, the most valid. This is exactly what we need. So then structured water, is that the gel water, the fourth phase?
Yes. So you'll hear the word structured water. It came from Gilbert Ling way back. But first of all, this conversation is going on in science for over 100 years. Wait a minute. The water in your cells, it doesn't look like water like how we have in the lab. So what the heck is the water in your cells? Well, so it has many names: structured water, coherent water, ordered water, hexagonal water. And Dr. Pollack famously called it easy water for exclusion zone, because he's the one who most carefully identified that water can purify itself, that it excludes any particles. And that's what the fourth phase is known for, this capacity to self-clean. It isn't the only thing it's known for, because anybody who's had a sonogram knows that gel they put on you to get to the sonogram somehow conducts clear information. So not only is it doing, as nature often tends to do, more than one thing at one time. It's doing multiple things for life enhancement. This structured or ordered or easy phase of water, this fourth phase beyond vapor, liquid, and ice, this plasma state also is conducting information. And that's very valuable to know because, again, that's a health issue, right?
It's huge. I mean, everything you're saying about this is huge. The life of water, the conductivity. Is there a way to take maybe spring water or any water and somehow make it the fourth phase water? Is there some kind of method?
Well, I'm so glad you asked it in that way, because what I haven't registered yet is this fourth phase of water is a new identification, but in the meantime, nature's used it all the time. So it's around us everywhere, not only inside of our own cells and not only in the plant cells that I realize we're hydrating people by eating food. It's in spring water. It's in rainwater. Do you know a raindrop falls in a vortex? It spins as it falls. In that spinning, the electrons begin to share, and that water falls as structured water. So, for example, farmers all know that their fields grow better after a rain. This is like standard. Now we have a science to say why that could be so. So spring water is another waterfalls, being near the ocean, anywhere water is in high movement is just like in your body. If you move, you're creating this electron jumping and creating energy. And that is, it's everywhere. Once you start looking, you find out it's everywhere. In terms of enhancement and what other cultures have done, for example, the Mayans would add clay. They were using gorgeous spring water already. What better can you get? Why do anything else to it? But they would actually run the water through channels that they dug, that they then lined the interior of these channels with clay tiles. And of course, when water touches clay, it picks up the minerals and begins to have a higher charge. So they were actually increasing the voltage of the water for their crops by something as simple as running it over clay.
Wow.
And then you have the huge tradition of water stored in clay pots or clay jugs. Then you have the Indian tradition of storing water in copper, that these relationship between the copper and the minerals in the water enhances the voltage of the water. It's not hard. This is not hard to understand.
Well, it seems to have been passed down by people that were aware of this at some time. Some ancient science is just passed down culturally, as you know, as a cultural anthropologist. But let me ask you, is there a way to do this artificially? Is there a way to create that vortex that gives it that charge to make it fourth phase?
Yeah. So there's a number of companies that provide vortexing devices that bring the charge up. There's something as simple as stirring your water with a spoon. Of course, the voltage won't be as high as something you could accomplish with a vortexing device that runs the water over crystals in the shape of DNA, and then it comes out on the other end with a higher, all of this stuff it's out there. And it should be out there because God knows we need to recover the voltage in water all over our planet.
Well, is there any that you recommend specifically that you feel like are absolutely functional?
I consider part of my work at the Hydration Foundation is to get people not only aware of this science, but the real application of it. So, for example, I work right now with a company called Spring Aqua. Kenny Liu is the CEO, and Spring Aqua and I have collaborated together to create a vortex, a simple funnel that spins, very simple, to put into agriculture so that now we can rehydrate those desperately dehydrated soil microbes that do all the work in the earth, the soil, just the way our gut microbe does it in our intestines.
Oh my
So
God.
Spring Aqua is a fantastic company. They really help we're trying to get more water to use in agriculture. This is a very big project. I love Gary Greenfield is a beautiful colleague and a dear friend. And his company is called Greenfield Naturals. They do great work. There's another company called Analemma. They are a Dutch company. They've done more testing than anybody we know. They've really gone to the map. I'm trying to identify how this works. Couldn't find it, by the way. I mean, their tests are great, but we're not at the end of the mystery, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
We still have so much we don't know. And they have a little glass wand that's filled with water that's already structured that then electronically or digitally, what's the right word I want? By osmosis, maybe that's the best way. But if you stir the wand in your water, it sends out electromagnetic signals, and then your water can have more voltage. Some of these companies do better at getting the voltage than others. But yes, it is something I do feel we need to explore and be trying to push forward out into our water world that's very compromised.
Yes, because again, as you said, hydration is how you eat, drink, and move. You get the fourth phase water, and plants are 80 to 98% gel water. And so you're getting it from there. You get more gel water in your diet, and then you're getting their movement. Right? Again, like you said, movement, that's a huge part of it. And are those really the three principles of hydration, you feel like?
Yeah, I would add the exposure to sunlight has probably become more apparent to me than ever. And exposure to electrically conductive forces, whether it's using oxygen machines, or whether it's wearing a copper bracelet, or getting your feet on the sand, or that magic of absolutely understanding your own circadian rhythm, what that sunlight is telling all the rest of your cells to do, how important it is to mitigate your screen time with whether it's blocking lights or getting off that. And then the world of frequencies and music and sound, the coming forward of sound healing now we need it just in time.
Yes.
And that is so profound that what you're receiving when you receive a sound bath is frequencies going into your water molecules and helping them align and orchestrate the rest of your system.
Oh my
So
God.
if we can open this new door of how to treat our diseases with frequencies, knowing that it's all based on electricity. That's all. Well, let's, help me do that. People.
I'm here for you. And all of my listeners we're all over the world. I'm just blown away by the things you're telling me. The sound bath, those frequencies, they're realigning our water structure because there's a consciousness there. There must be, if it's responding to those frequencies, what's responding? What's responding? What's, you know what I mean? It just, whoa. So, so tell me about the Traveling Water Museum.
Thank you. I love this. This is my favorite project. My main effort is to try to get better water into agriculture.
Okay.
So that our soil recovers. That's the big plan. I hope you recover. I hope people recover, but I'm really aiming for all the creatures of the planet.
Of course.
To get them rehydrated, right? But then the fun part is, how do you invite people to step into knowing about themselves as a body of water, and then to have enough reverence for themselves and for water to begin to want and have perception to take action on behalf of water in the world. So we have a traveling museum, and that means that we have done filming. My partner, Maxie Cohen, in this project is an award-winning filmmaker. She's based in New York. She's filmed water all over the world. So we have these huge, floor-to-ceiling films of water, and you just get to go stand and have it wash over you. during very specific kinds of sound environments where we know now that hydration is a sound act. And so the museum is like a rite of passage. You walk through 9 different kinds of rooms to discover 9 different things you didn't know, but only experientially. You're immersed in it. So it's not a lot of talk, talk, talk. It's using vision, sound, vibration, arts, so that people experience it. They walk out differently.
Wow. They get the download. They get the information about what they truly are. And this would increase people's vitality, I believe, as they age, as they get into the late 80s, 90s, if you make it.
Right.
You need this more than probably anything. You probably need to be overhydrated at that point.
Yeah. So now we return to the story about my mom, right? This is my heart for the elderly and how dehydrated they are. This is just a cosmic shame. And just getting, and I'll give you one recipe, them rehydrated is such an act of reverence for our families and our ancestors. And it just means the world to me. So when I sent my mother those chia seeds and they were able to put that in her orange juice, I have a recipe for you that anybody can use. And I use it a lot because I don't like to get up in the middle of the night and pee, right? I like to make it through the night. Yeah. But at the same time, I know that sleep is one of the most important times of hydration use in the body because that's when your sanitation goes into work, especially in your brain. So if you don't have enough hydration before you go to sleep, you get a poor sanitation team and they're not clearing out the crap in your brain. So you want to be well hydrated, but how do you do that without having to pee? So I figured a hack. This is a fun hack. And it involves chia seeds, which are one of the most hydrating plants on the planet. It's a desert plant. So irony, irony, irony. Out of the desert comes this water. It can be grown. And I take 5 tablespoons of chia seed, and you'll remember that because you have 5 fingers. That's it. You won't forget it now. And you dump it in a can of coconut milk, right? Or you could pour all that in a bowl and you just mix it. And it turns into this gorgeous pudding, this plasma water. And it's so tasty. You can dress it with, if you like sweet, you put jam on top or maple syrup or nothing. You don't have to put anything on top of it. But you have a couple tablespoons of that before you go to bed, and all that plasma will be doing this beautiful gel-like hydration work in your system without that liquid pull towards having to pee. So it's a great, great hack.
Wow, my God. You and your hacks. I love your hacks. You got all these hacks. Oh, wow. This is so huge. Let's have a hack
party. We should have a hack party.
It's interesting because I'm trying to think about the interface of the light being the spiritual aspect of us and the light and the water. Like what is the connection between light and water? There must be something huge there because as we enter into these water beings as light beings, that's where the synthesis happens. Perhaps that spiritual electricity activates the life water. I don't know.
Well, it's got a name already, Jake. It's called photosynthesis. And photosynthesis will turn a seed into a plant and into a fruit. It just keeps going. It doesn't ever stop.
Right, because it activates
we aren't
that
far removed from that.
Oh, my God. This has been such an epic conversation. You're so amazing. This is really big information. I'm shocked that you haven't been out there more, or this information, I should say, hasn't been out there more, but we're getting it out there to people. Yeah. Tell us more. What else do you want us to know about this?
Well, I do want to talk about resiliency.
Okay.
I want to talk about if we're water beings, we're a flow being. It's, there's all this talk about, flow productive states and,
right.
and everyone wants to talk about productivity. It's almost a guy conversation because women never talk about productivity. They're too busy being productive, right? They're doing 29 things and like, I'll be over in that conversation in just 2 minutes. I just have to finish the laundry, But productivity, what I really want to talk about is this enough energy not to be just resilient and buoyant, to be buoyant, but to be joyously buoyant. And this is what our culture is missing. We're not together enough. We're not having enough fun. We're not dancing enough. We don't sing together anymore. What the heck are we doing? Where are we actually? So one of the things that we want to, when the Traveling Water Museum comes, we like to identify in the community some building that we can host a dance for water that night so that families can come and go through a sound experience. And the way we do dances for water are, it's a big circle. So you don't need a partner. Your kids can come. You just start walking in a big circle. And then there's a square dance caller, except it's round, who says, let's pay attention to our feet. Do, 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 do. Let's do some percussion. Do, 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 do. And she just leads you through your entire body. So, by 2 hours later, you've just celebrated everything. You've had a blast with your community. Your kids can do it. And we can leave behind that kind of gift in a community. I'll remind you that as an anthropologist, one movement, and I'm going to shift the word just slightly to percussion, rhythmic percussion is an incredibly powerful way to align our water molecules and to gain health and movement. So I looked at ritual all over the world. It was the first part of my career as an anthropologist. And what I noticed is every culture uses percussion, drumming, dancing, stomping, sticks, you name it. And this percussion also identified by the John Stewart Reed, who does the cymatics work, that it's a low, regular beat, just like our heartbeat, that is what imprints frequencies onto the water molecule.
Oh, my God.
So you see why we're connecting movement, sound, dancing, percussion, having fun with being, truly not just a resilient person, but a person fully engaged with your community, with enjoying your own body, bringing it all. So that's the kind of vision I want to share with your listeners and to encourage them to, think of this stuff and then what could happen for them in their own life with stopping to listen to one Spotify song in the midst of a tough day, or creating community dances. I don't know. There's so much we can be doing.
Yes, it'll get you to the fully activated optimal state, which again, as we talked about earlier, is that love-based center. We're love-based human beings, but the water distortion is pulling a lot of us out of focus. One thing you brought up, I'd just like to add, is that you said that people have been researching this for close to 100 years now. Is that accurate? Why aren't other mainstream doctors and scientists talking about this?
Well, because it's a physics conversation. It's a conversation about the invisible.
Interesting.
And, you're just going to run into it as a spiritual person trying to encourage people to be spiritual. You know what kind of problems you've had.
Oh, yes, I do know. It's just where we're at. It's that matrix reality. We're breaking out of it. We're ascending. We're growing as humans. And this is part of it. The hydration and the hydration foundation. This is huge. You're bringing people really good information. I'm actually really reevaluating things after listening to you, because I'm realizing in my own personal life that I'm not doing any of this, and that it could be the reason I have some symptoms like fatigue and other things, not just because I work so hard. It's actually because I'm not replenishing myself correctly. I think
beautiful.
That's the point. And I do want to tell people where to find you. We've had such a great conversation, and I know people are going to want to follow up on this. hydrationfoundation.org. It even rhymes. I mean, come on, people. You know what this is? hydrationfoundation.org. Go there. Check it out. The book, Quench, Beat Fatigue, Drop Weight, and Heal Your Body Through the New Science of Optimum Nutrition, is available. She co-authored that. That will guide you. And is there anything else you'd like to tell people about? Oh, you do have that book, The Art of Family Rituals, Imagination and Everyday Spirituality, another book. We're going to have you back on to talk about the power of ritual. What do you think about that?
I so want to bring back ritual in our lives, to give permission to people, tell them how it works so they can just go start making their own rituals. We lost so much. Let's go, people. Let's reignite it. And I can tell you how.
Oh, we're going to have you back. We're going to have you back soon. We're going to talk about rituals. This has been such an avid conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to leave people with before we go?
Oh, no, I think we covered so much. Just that you are a water being, and thinking about how you can water rolls through so many more difficulties. What is this? Who's the great guy? Bruce Lee. Be like water. Be like water. Wow, people, that's so beautiful. Thank you again, Gina, for being here. We've had an amazing conversation. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Jake. And everyone, check out her websites, check out her books. We're going to bring her back on. We're going to talk about ritual. And please hold through the outro music, Gina. And of course, we will see you next week, Midnight on Earth.